Sergeant on deck.
Hi, my name is Daniel and you're watching the Rogue Clone Trooper channel. Today on my channel we are making a new costume, and the costume we're going to make is the Clone Officer Uniform. Okay, so I'm going to bring you through step by step how I'm going to make this costume. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is to get some resources. Okay, so what I've done, I've come over here to the Rebel Legion webpage where they actually have a list of the different costumes that they will accept as a costume on their for their group, and they give you some criteria about what the costume should be like and give you some guidelines on what you need to do with it. So they do actually have one for the Clone Naval Officer. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in a minute, but for the moment I'm just going to go through the different details that they have here on their website. Okay, they give you a brief rundown on the history of the actual character. They give you a nice little cartoon picture of him, and then they go through the different requirements that they require. Okay, the first one is basically that it's a grey long sleeve jacket, needed to be extended below the waist and hips, made from a good quality material. Epaulets on both shoulders, Mandarin style collar with closure from right to left. There is an S seam in front of the jacket, extends from bottom on left side, rising to middle chest and curving 90 degrees to the right across the chest, then curves 90 degrees vertical, then rises to the L shoulder epaulette, so left shoulder epaulette. So basically the S curls across the actual uniform. Okay. They also have two stripes on the jacket cuffs, black belt with rectangular buckle, rank insignia on the left breast, matching pants with matching fabric, black boots raised just below the knee, and short clone hair is basically crew cut is advisable, as long hair is not going with the character. Okay, it has some other recommended pieces, which means that the dark piping on outline S on the seam of the jacket. Okay, so the piece that actually snakes across the S should be a black piping, which I'll show you in a minute, and then there should be a split at the back of the jacket. Okay, so these are the basic requirements that they give. Now you probably notice here in the picture there's two actual different clones, and I'm going to explain what they are now at the moment. This is the naval officer, which they say is grey, and this actually is the medical officer, which is actually in white. And his uniform is slightly a bit different as regards to that the boots that he wears are actually dark brown, and the belt that he has also is brown, not black. Okay, so once I have worked out what the requirements are needed for the actual passing of the costume with the Rebel Legion, I then went and did some more research, scouring basically the internet for different types of photographs of the actual costume, which I then put all together on my Facebook page. Okay, if you want to, you can go over to my Facebook group, which is basically the Rogue Clone Trooper channel, and you'll find a lot of the stuff that I build. You'll also find the reference material that I have gathered for the actual clone officer. And here's one of the things I found while I was doing my research, that there actually is 3 different colors, which is a bit disputed by different people, and I've had discussions with a lot of people about what the colors are, but the medical one is clearly white. The Navy one is clearly grey, a light grey, which is even indicated in the Rebel Legion, and then there is a black version. Now, the black version is not commented by any group as actually existing, which is kind of a bit strange for me, and there is a few other people who dress as clone troopers who definitely say there is a black one. So for me, the white is medical, the navy must be the navy, and then so the grey is the navy, and then the black we gather must be the army. You can actually see this black uniform in the episode where 5 dies in the Clone Wars, because he goes to the bar where the other clone officers are there drinking, and you can clearly see the 2 different colors of the dark grey and the black uniforms. So that's why I've already made one in black, but I'm now going to make one in grey so we can see if we can get this passed by the Rebel Legion. Okay, on this. So once you've got as much reference material as you need, we got to start making the costume. So your best bet to do is I used an Imperial uniform costume as the base of my costume. Now I didn't want to go and buy a very expensive one from say Wampaware or places like that, which are going to cost you anywhere between, let's just be honest, say $400 to $500, because the quality is really amazing and basically it's going to pass the requirements of the 501st straight away. So as we're going to be altering and cutting, I do not want to buy such an expensive uniform. So I'm going to AliExpress, where you can get pretty decent and pretty good quality uniforms made. These may not be passable by the 501st straight away and might need some alterations, but it's a great basis for what we need for our costume. So we're looking for a grey one. So I've got some grey ones here. There's different ones. Some of them are having sales at the moment because it's coming up to Chinese New Year. My best bet would be to pick one that's a decent price, because the cheaper you go, you're probably going to get more problems with it. So I've got one here that I got for a decent price. And then I want to read what type of reviews that it has on it. That's one of the most important things that I would do, is to not only find a reasonable price, but then to see what reviews people have left about the costume, and that way you kind of get a good idea what you're going to get. Are you going to buy something that's basically pig in a poke, or are you buying buy something that's pretty good quality? The other thing then to watch out for is, do they do a free size or a one size? This is where they'll actually custom make the costume for you. Now the price for a custom make one will be a slight bit different sometimes, depending on the company. This one here, actually it's not, it's the same price for the custom one. They're charging at the moment as a sale 7,645 yen. I'm in Japan, so that's why everything's in yen. That's going to retail at about, say, $60, which is an amazing price for a suit jacket, lined, and pants together. And they're going to do some custom fitting for you as well. You just have to contact them with a message, tell them that what your measurements are, your neck size, your chest size, your hip, your arm length, everything, and then they will make a costume roughly to your measurements. Okay, I've known people in the past that have done this and had a few little problems with it, but it's one way to go. The other way to go is to look at the sizing, get one that's relatively going to fit you, and then go to an actual tailor's and get them to alter it. It's easier to get something slightly bigger made smaller than it is trying to make something bigger, because that's impossible, really. So again, study their size charts very well, and then pick the one that you want. Okay, so we've checked it out, we've read some of the comments, and then we order it. It will arrive. I also then ordered a hat, I got some ribbon, and I got some of the binding that I needed. Okay, so now to start altering the uniform. All right, so here are the pants as they come. They're the typical jodhpurs that the Imperial Officers uniforms have, but we don't need these. So first of all, we're going to turn them inside out. So now we have them inside out. The next thing we need to do is we're going to cut a line straight down here and straight down here, and then we're going to sew them up. And there you have it. We have cut straight down either side, and we've also then added some bias binding to stop it from fraying, and we've given it a double stitch. So now let's turn these back around the correct way. And there you have it. These are our pants, nicely finished with a lovely double seam down the sides. Be very careful when doing this, because you don't want to have the pants to narrow in too much. Okay, basically rule of thumb is I start at the hip, draw a line straight down, to a normal pant width at the bottom, pin it into place. Once it's pinned, I then cut it up, stick it on sewing machine and sew it back down again, and then add the bias binding. Now let's move over to the jacket. Here we have the officer's jacket. The first thing we're going to do is add stripes to the sleeves on both sides. And there you have it. That's the stripes added. These stripes are literally from the end of the cuff upwards 10 centimeters with a 5 centimeter gap in between each one. The stripes themselves are actually 5 millimeters as well. This is actually leather bias binding, which is used for usually going around the edges of cuffs and different things. I flattened it out and sewn it onto the actual cuff. How I actually added these on was, first I had given it a stitching around the edges and then gently glued with fabric glue it into place to make sure it held nicely, and then ran it on the sewing machine around that way. Then I didn't have it binding up and scrunching. The end parts on either side, then I actually did hand sewing to make sure it was nice and flush. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to add the piping around the jacket. So we've added piping all the way up. Then we give it a lovely S back up again to the top and stitched it on. Also, we've also added the epaulets to both sides. The fabric for the epaulets can be either used from the extra pieces you had from your trousers, or if you can bring it in swatch into your local fabric shop, you should be able to find something very close to match it up to get a bit more fabric. I've added a piece of foam to the inside of this, as well as stiffener. That just gives it a nice shape and a bit of stiffness to it. The foam that I use basically is 2mm hobby foam. It's very soft, very flexible, moves very naturally, keep it in place. From the inside, it undid the lining, unpicked the shoulder piece, added in the piece of fabric, and then tacked it into place to make sure it was fine, and then went back over it again with my sewing machine. The top piece here is hand tacked into place once I made it into the right position, and the same on the other side. Both pockets then were sewn up as well from the inside. As I had some extra fabric from another project I was doing with the same material, I was able to cut out the panel at the back, add in my split, restitch it back in as 2 separate pieces, and now I have my tail at the back. This is not necessary for the actual qualification to be passed by the Rebel Legion, but it is a recommendation, so I'm going to try it on mine to see if it helps get it passed. For this costume, you also need a good belt. This is an officer's belt from Wampa. You can get them in many other places. You can also find lots of them on Etsy, but this one I'd already picked up from Wampa. You can see even the belt buckle is from Wampa as well. You can get it with the Imperial disc already on it, or you can get that separately. I actually bought mine separately from Etsy and then put it on myself, but I'd really advise you actually buying one with it on it. It is a bit more expensive, but you can do it. As regards to my boots, you've seen these boots before. If you want to see a review on these boots, go back to look at my Captain Rex Jungle Assault Uniform build, and you'll see me actually reviewing these boots when they came in. These are a pair of Titan boots that you can buy from AliExpress. They're cosplay boots. They're not really bad. I've had a pair of these which I've worn many times, and they're pretty well made. So I bought another pair. They usually cost about between $30 to $40. Because they're Titan boots, they already have a flap to come down, which is perfect for what we needed. Basically all I needed to do then was mark out the shape that I needed in the front, give myself some excess, cut it around, turn it inside out, or should I say tuck it in, and then stitch it. Do that on the front and back. Make sure your measurements are good. The measurements on my one basically are from top to the inside bit is 6 centimeters, and then the width at the top of this one is 8 centimeters, and the bottom width is about 11 centimeters. That was what I did on those. They are all ready to go. So the only next thing to do is to try it on. And then after all that, you have to submit your photographs to Rebel Legion. This whole thing will take about 3 to 4 weeks. Once they receive it, they'll notify you back and they'll tell you any changes you need to do. And I've been very lucky because it got passed. Thanks for watching the video. Sorry it's been a bit long and it's a lot of talking in it, but it's basically the steps that I go through to make my costumes. And if you really want to get a good costume and get it passed by the Rebel Legion or the 501st, you've got to go in and do your research, okay? I hope this helped everyone out. And again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. And until next time, take care and be safe. See you on the flip side.